fence, what used to be there. It's a piece of cedar that's got a natural stain on it. The fence that I've got up there right now, I think, looks architecturally more significant than just a crummy little shadow fence. My proposal is this. Instead of that, or if you prefer, makes no difference to me, which matches the siding on the house. It'll be a lot less obvious if you drive down the road. The deck that used to be up there had a fence about that tall. When you stand on my deck now, the fence is 4.5 feet. It looks bigger from the road, but it's only this high. I've left some posts up in the air, and you'll see on one of my pictures, maybe some lattice work across the top. Not necessary, but I could. So, we can't get, oh, look at that.
And I just want to ask a couple clarifying questions for the commission, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So,
sure.
Obviously, we're looking at the construction of this new deck. The stuff that happened before with the rebuild was a long time ago now, but I appreciate the backstory, and I think that, and as was indicated in my report, helps us to show that there was a deck up there previous to this. So this was not an alteration of the existing property to make this new deck. This is also, and I don't know I looked over some pictures with Chris before, but you can see the door that's there, so that's a pretty good indicator that there was a deck up there previous. The second remark that I want to make, and you showed the Trex, and I might not have been clear enough in my report, but the decking on this porch is Trex. The decking, only the floor material on the porch is Trex. Thirdly, the fence that's been built is cedar, as you just alluded to. Mm-hmm. The three options that Chris just showed us, I'm supposing are all cedar. The one that you showed us first is the natural stain, which is what you see here. I know that the commission last time noted that it's a lighter color. The second option that you showed us was just a darker stained cedar. And then the third option is painted to match the siding of the house. Is that all correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page about everything that Chris said. So I will turn it over to the commission now.
Mm-hmm.
For him regarding the deck?
Once again, one of the pictures shows, excuse me, that the deck is an egress for the third floor. There's something's got to be there. If it's smaller, the deck I built is 3.5 feet less wide than the one that used to be there. It's shorter.
Is there an egress from the deck to the ground floor?
That'll be next time.
Okay, yeah.
There used to be a ugly stairway that went up there.
I would think the city may require that, or you have other egress in the
Well,
rooms.
right now there's no tenants on the third floor right now. So before I get to that point, I'll have to come here a couple more times.
As far as your three options, I don't think we typically weigh in on color, which is what we're talking about. The material itself is cedar,
Yes.
which is something we generally approve and support. So I don't, as far as the color options, I don't see that as anything that we might comment, but not necessarily tell you or recommend.
I guess the reason I brought it up, if you look at the picture, the natural cedar kind of sticks out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I recommended, well, I came up with the idea of the black, which would match the roof more going up, mm-hmm. or the periwinkle that might look better with the siding.
Yeah, again,
but once again,
I could have opinions on that, but as far as us voting, we typically don't vote on color.
Yeah.
I think the bigger issue is that it was put up without permission originally, and then so we're going back to approve the whole thing. So that's the bigger thing. But he is correct. The color I don't think really makes a difference on it, and it's cedar, and that's awesome. But it's just just in general, do we approve a deck you know, up there. And it looks like it's replacing a deck. So my personal take is it looks like you did a great job. And, you know, I think it's a, you know, in the last meeting about this, we came to the conclusion, I thought, that we wouldn't even really care about it if the existing house that blocked that view was still there.
That's the way I remember it, yeah.
I can attest to Chris's handiwork. Obviously, did a good job building it. The house burning down next door is sad for multiple reasons, that included. I think it's a key distinction that it's the Trex is just on the decking. It's distinguished also from the historic nature and characteristic of the main house.
Thank you for bringing all the historical pictures. It's nice to see that and definitely gives a lot of context. I would say for the Trex decking, you know, typically we prefer the all-natural wood materials. However, since it is on essentially your third floor and it is in no way visible from the street, I'm not bothered by the synthetic decking material. I do appreciate that there is still cedar on the portion that you can see. And then I did have one question. Looking at your photos here, you've got this number 8. This one has some horizontal rails on it. Is that something you're seeking our approval on as far as more of a finishing detail? Or do you have any comments there?
No, I would take some recommendations. The reason I put that there is because, like I said, the old fence was about this tall, and it's nice to have privacy up there. Right now, we're about 4.5 feet high. I thought something decorative up there is. It was. The construction was kind of a work in progress. One beer led to the next, and you can see I built some benches there. And what that did. The benches started out from the side of the house about this high. Then I took it down and continued the deck from there. So in essence, I used to be able to crawl underneath the deck at the far end, but now it's only this high off the roof. So I've kind of lowered everything. I lowered the fence. And the wing wall, the knee wall that you can see was added when we redid the roof. I'm kind of proud of that. I think it's a nice feature. It kind of blends with the house more, as you see it where it wraps around.
A couple more clarifying remarks too. So when Chris brought up that, when you referred to the PhDs that built it before, I think you were alluding to the fact that they probably were not builders who built it the first time, and you started to get such severe water damage that the entire thing needed to be rebuilt, and that's why ultimately it was removed. When he's talking about the knee wall, I think you're referring to the gap that's in between the existing fence now and the actual peak of the roof, correct? Is that what you're referring to? Where there's the trough, in effect?
Just this side of the fence you're looking at, there's a wall that's about this high.
Yep.
That angles in.
Yep.
Knee wall.
It was built out to the edges before, right? And now you brought it in to allow for those walls,
Yes.
correct? So
I built the knee walls, which are about this big.
Yep.
And then the deck got shrunk.
Yep.
And there's still space between the knee wall and where the deck is.
Yes. Just so everyone is clear on that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve, or unless you have more questions or comments?
Eric's kind of looking at me sideways there.
Oh.
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with Secretary of Interior Standards 1, 2, and 9.
I'll second the motion.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Christy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
So the work passed. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow, and by the end of the week, I'll get out the certificate of appropriateness for you, and then we can continue to work forward with whatever else we need to do to get the approvals rolling.
There's one other thing that's kind of important.
What was that?
A builder's permit.
Yes, we will talk about that one tomorrow as well. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you all.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming in, Chris.
Well, I love your house.
Thanks.
I see it,
I
almost
got a
daily.
lot of time and money invested in it.
Yeah, it shows.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we're moving on to 621 South Park.
Can I get, you want to keep my pictures?
Oh, no.
I think we just
I
forgot.
I don't know how long they'll be in a file before I throw them out, but thank you all.
Come on up, Steve. Thank you, Chris.
Good afternoon. Steve Vandenbush. I'm the owner of 621 South Park Street. My wife and I recently had the property rezoned from commercial to Live Work 1. We've, over the last few months, renovated it, and it is now a functioning residence. And we are hoping to put a small addition on the back of it to expand the functionality of the not only the home, but the value of the property in general. The last assessment we had fell fairly short of what it could be potentially valued at if it had another bedroom, if it had another bathroom. So we've been looking at doing that expansion. Is there anything else you want to know? Built in 1980, the addition is trying to reflect kind of a modernist revival look, which is essentially what the existing earthburn building is. So I tried to complement that, and I can go over anything else as you have questions.
No, I actually spoke to your wife about this a couple weeks ago, so I'm aware of the property. It would be something we would look at, and Luis could weigh in on this, but I would suspect it's something that we would consider as a non-contributing property. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think you're making improvements and you're a good addition to the neighborhood. So,
thanks, sir.
How many bedrooms will it be when you're all done, like with the addition?
There's currently one large bedroom in the existing building, and then we'll be adding a small bedroom to this, and then there'll be a loft that'll be multifunctional. We have 5 children that are all, we have a senior in high school, the rest have flown the coop, but wanted the ability to have some overflow when we had holidays and things like that, so the loft sort of acts as overflow space for the kids.
Yeah. The design looks awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I just had a curiosity question. I live on Dutton Street, so I'm not far. We affectionately call this the house on the hill now, just because it's such a cool little thing you guys are doing. I have the golden retriever.
Yes,
we've
I know you.
Said hello a couple times.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I was just curious what your timeline for completion is. I think, and as far as like relevant things, I think this will be clearly differentiated from your existing home, the core structure. So I think that's important. Obviously, this is an outlier from what we typically evaluate, but I do think the aesthetics of your design complement your very modern building that exists in our historic neighborhood. So I'm excited about this, but when do you want to get it done?
The idea is to get shovels in the ground, hopefully the first week in May, which is fairly soon. I think that's optimistic, but I tend to try to be optimistic. So that's the idea. And then footings and foundations and cure time, that's going to be a month-ish. And then the actual build for the framing isn't really going to take that long. My guess is that my crew that I've got is going to probably take 3 weeks to do the framing. And then we got to sheath it, and then the guts go in. So the hope is end of summer. So we'll see. I think it's all based on, or it's all dependent on procurement of windows and doors. So everything else seems like it's readily available, but windows and doors seem to be the biggest lead time. So.
If there's no more comments or questions, does someone want to do a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with Secretary of Interior Standards 1, 9, and 10.
I'll second that.
Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Kirsty,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So your,
Thank you.
the proposal passed. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow or maybe a little bit later in the week, but I'll get you the certificate of appropriateness by the end of this week. And we'll be in touch. So
Okay, great.
awesome. Thanks so much,
you.
Steve. Yep.
All right, 507 South Westnedge, last one.
Last one. Do you have any images for that? or-
Yep.
Okay.
We just had, gonna pull it up. A little bit of
Ah,
technical
problem.
difficulty, so.
So hi, I'm Joseph Doe. I am Parish Council President for Annunciation Creek Orthodox Church. We would like to place a sign in front of the church for the church. It's a difficult property to put a sign, so we think we found the best placement that meets the city's guidelines. It's going to be natural wood. There's two designs he might show you. One that was in like a type of a planter box, just in case we wanted to move it. But this design he just showed sideways is the actual one I think the parish council agreed upon last night. Simple wood design. Of course, it's supposed to be unlit in this area. We put the numbers on the cement behind it, saving space on the sign. But it's just, nobody knows what that church is. We have a plaque that's literally 1.5 feet wide by about 1 foot tall, and the letters kind of wore off about 10 years ago. So, and we're starting to grow and want people to know what that parish is.
Yeah, it's a great looking sign. Like, yeah, and yeah, my opinion is that, yeah, it looks great. I like it.
Okay. Thank you.
And with both of the proposals, either of them is freestanding and could be removed at a later date. Conceal any of the architectural features of the building, so that's all.
Yeah, it only conceals the ugly stairs.
I think it's a very rational, functional use of your space, and I think it's aesthetically pleasing. And like James said, it doesn't impact the building at all. It could be removed, and yeah, agree. On that stretch of West Edge, you need a big sign. People drive fast.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the work as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 1, 9, and 10.
Seconded.
Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Kirsty,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
All right, so the work passed. I will be in touch sometime a little bit later in the week to get you the certificate of appropriateness. Sign permitting things moving along as well. So
All right, and
you're
I'll
all
give
good to
you
go.
that check you didn't want me to give you, probably want now.
Yep, at some point this week I'll get the invoice all the way
It's
good
still
for you
sitting
to
in my
go.
car, I should have brought it.
I would just rather it be at the office so I don't lose it
Okay.
too, but we can get it taken care of later this week, and if we'll look at it, and if we need to have a phone call or something to figure out online payment, or if you want to come in, we can get it taken
Oh
care
yeah,
of.
you can
so.
go online too, that's
Yep,
right.
so,
Okay.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for
all.
coming in. Yeah.
Have a great night.
Yep, enjoy the weather.
And then, Luis, does it look like, do you have the annual report review? That,
Yep. You can mute that one now, if you wouldn't mind. You can mute the podium.
I muted him.
Okay, sweet. You might have, nope, we're all good to go. So I just was hearing some feedback. So I expect that you guys have read this. I'm not going to read the entire thing unless you guys really want me to read the entire thing. I can kind of go over some of the highlights for you. Just to give you an idea of what this is. Generally, I think there's probably some typos, so I need to look at it one more time before I send it off to the commission, but this is to the city commission. This is kind of so they can keep track of what's the historic district commission doing, what some of our metrics. Maybe they don't know what all the many commissions in the city are doing, so this is an opportunity for us to let them know. So just from the first paragraph, you can see that we had 108, or I had 108 total project applications last year. The fees to me are $4,325 from fees that were gained, so do what you will with that. This does represent an 11% increase from 2022 project applications when there are only 27 project applications. I do think it's worth noting that even though we only had 108 applications, I think total we had like 116 things that we heard because some folks came back multiple times. So that's another consideration. That's always kind of hard for me to parse out when I'm looking at everything. Like how many applications did I get and then how many reviews did we actually do? We had 10 meetings last year. I can't tell you what months we didn't, but I looked back at it and it looked like we only had 10. I know that we missed September, and I think that we might have missed November as well because it was cutting right up next to Thanksgiving, and I wanted to give folks the time off. We had 34 reviews here at the Historic District Commission that you guys had, and there were 5 denials, which is an 85% approval rating. And we did a training this year too. They would like to know that stuff. The approved list, I kind of just inherited this form from Sharon. I try to encapsulate everything that I can, but that's what we improved in a nutshell. We didn't have any demo by neglect, and then there were, I see that it says 3, but there were actually 5 denials in 2023. 823 Lucas, we looked at the demolition of a chimney down to the roof line. I could also make that clear. 119 Prairie, the installation of aluminum fascia and soffit. 427 Stone, the demolition of a chimney. 945 Osborne, the removal of a window, and 930 West Kalamazoo, the residing of an entire home in vinyl. So you guys did 34 application reviews. I did 74 application reviews. Most of mine are always going to be simple things like putting up storm windows, rebuilding a porch. Those are honestly the biggest ones. Putting on roofs. So they're those very minor classes of work, as you guys know. And then there's the membership that we have down below. I know that both Dana and Andrew went through theirs, but per our ordinance, we can keep them on until we find the replacements, which I said to you guys we will get done in the coming months here. I send out new owners letters to folks. Sometimes it's a little bit later in the month than I want to, but I try to do it at the beginning of every month. So I comb BSNA, find who new owners are. By downloading it and putting it into an Excel table, and then I have a list of all the parcels in historic districts. So it's a pretty fail-safe way, I think, in my opinion, to make sure that I get everyone. And if they live in the Vine neighborhood enterprise zone and they own the house, they occupy the property, I also send them an easy information. Everyone that gets a letter, though, just gets a kind of general packet saying, you're in a historic district, here's some kind of general do's and don'ts, with my phone number on there too, so they can always reach out to me. And then just kind of in summary, kind of canned language, but it just shows how many we have per buildings total in the city of Kalamazoo. Like I said, that was a very quick 30,000-foot flyover of it. If there's other things that you guys have questions about, I can discuss that in a second. What's going to happen next after I take your guys' comments is I'll go back and revise it, and then I'm going to send it off to City Commission for them to have. So obviously they can be kept up to date what's been going on with this commission. So
I think my biggest takeaway is it's really cool to see the percentage approval rate. I would have guessed that it was higher than 85%, but it seems like we just don't have that many, things to review.
Well, and that's only for the commission. So if you look at 103 out of 108, that's extremely high approval rating. I can't do the math off the top of my head.
And
Yeah, I don't.
I feel like that's a strong message that we should, because when I'm in the community, I still hear some pushback against the Historic District Commission as being oppressive, and
There's a lack of understanding, I think, Deanna, to what you're speaking of. People have this idea that we're somehow controlling their lives or whatever, but it's like we have a really high rate of approval.
And we've also met with people multiple times as well to try to work with them and have them come back with more information or better detailed drawings too, so that helps the approval rating.
I think it's interesting you included the per capita of historic properties to our population, because we have, by this count, a smaller population than Grand Rapids, but we have more, well, almost as many historically designated properties. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so we have more than twice the percentage of historic properties per capita, I'm guessing. I think that's a huge point of pride. I'm glad that you mentioned that on the report.
Yeah. And I just looked, if you include all reviews, I mean, 108 reviews total, 5 denials, that means 103 approvals, that's 95.3%, so 95% approval rating overall.
We should leave with that because, you know, what you're doing is just as, you know, valid as what
Yep.
fans here.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, you know, if just share it with you guys because I want to get your input before I give it to the commission. So I don't know if you guys have any comments for this. I know that there's some typos that I'll obviously correct, but if there's any more typos that I missed and then anything more substantial, please do let me know.
I had a question for you on the process, because I'm not exactly sure the order of how we weigh in on the demolition for neglect. I know we voted on one a couple years back, but there's a particular property that's right now 2 years behind taxes, and I've been looking at. Does that go to the city first, and then the land bank or the city consumes that property, and then we vote? Or do we vote on something like that before? How does that whole process really work?
Demolition by neglect is a pretty heavy-handed tool. I would never consider taxes as a motivator for doing it. Mine would be if this property is on the verge of being dangerous and collapsing, and it was done. Neglect caused that to happen.
It's more the neglect which is causing the homeless people to move in. That's
And there are certainly other arenas that can be used or other avenues that are used to address those things. That is not the function of the historic district, in my opinion. I always say to folks that I'm making a generalization. Generally, the historic district is not a tool to tell someone that you need to fix something. It is a tool to say, when it does get fixed, here's how it needs to be done in accordance with our rules. Demolition from neglect is a departure from that, obviously. It's a heavy-handed tool, certainly.
Well, a large part of me looks at it, and they're looking at it, it's prime real estate, and they're probably looking at it, well, it's worth more as a lot, and we'll let it, you know,
think
like
that's
that
why
kind of
it's-
mentality of doing nothing for
Well,
the
that's
past
why it's
3
such a
years.
heavy-handed tool, because we can tell them then that they need to fix it. So I want people to understand what demolition by neglect is, too. If they say that they want to demolish it, and we feel that it was to the point of unsalvageability or damage because of neglect, then we could say, no, we now are going to compel you to fix the property. So it does not behoove anyone to let a property fall into disrepair simply for the purpose of turning it.
Yeah.
And there was some an example of that, I think, was on Dutton Street that bordered the funeral home. I think it was Dutton. Is it Dutton? Where it's like
Yeah,
three
it was
houses
three
that got
houses.
really far down, and then were attempted to just tear them down, and so they were forced to bring them back to structural safety.
The only suggestion I had, take it or leave it, would it be worth noting that we're going to host the Historic Preservation Conference? I don't know if they would be interested in that, but just
Yeah.
again pointing out that, you know, that's kind of a cool thing and that we're going to network with other cities.
Yeah, I could certainly put that in there. And I hope I answered your questions about the process, too. If someone wanted to come to us with demolition, that's the other thing that, thank you, Christy. And then the other thing is to make sure that it's important to know that people elect to demolish their properties. So we're never going to tell someone to demolish it. They would come to us with a proposal to demolish, and I think it would be evaluated in that capacity. So if there's no more questions, and if there are, please let me know. We can just move into my coordinator's report for this month, which is, I'm just going to sound like a broken record, but as Christy just said, MHPN is coming up next month already, so 11th, 9th through 11th. I don't know, I just blinked on it. Please, 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 any opportunities you guys have, you guys should all be signed up. I don't know if you guys all got emails from MHPN saying like, hey, you're signed up. If not, please do let me know, or comb your inbox again. I just use emails that I have for you guys already. With some creative math and trying to figure things out, I was able to sign us up just like you guys get full day registration for all of them. So, which is nice. I know that we aren't all able to use that, but try to go to some if you can, or just be able to pop in, or at least be able to come and network. not going to be angry if you can't make it because people have jobs too. But just wanted to let you guys know that as we get closer, I'll continue to let you know what that looks like, and when I'll send you the brochure out again too.
I had a question about that. I wondered if we needed to sign up ahead of time to attend certain things, or if there, I know that there's a brochure out there, but.
Yep. So I would look at that. My feeling is, and this is a very long discussion with the Historic Preservation Commission, I signed you guys up. You don't need to sign up for things. If you want to do, there's additional things that cost money, then please get with me really sooner rather than later so we can get signed up. You guys will need to pay for those. I'm not going to pay for the tours for people just because that gets to be a little bit more expensive. At the conference, though, generally it's just there's conversations going on in different rooms. I mean, I just signed you guys up to go to the conference, so you can pick which spaces you want to go to within the conference. Is my understanding of it. So,
Thank you.
yep.
I've had friends from out of town that are on commissions and others. So people are excited to come to Kalamazoo, from what I'm hearing. So,
Awesome. Well, I'm happy for them.
Okay. Anything else on the coordinator's report? Or?
Nope.
Okay. Could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved.
I will second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourning the meeting at 5:44.